a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Consumer Quarterback Show. I'm your host for the day, Alex BlackBelt Lima with BlackBelt Fitness and Martial Arts. Filling in for your consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. You know what we try to do here on the show? We try to give you ways to win in every single marketplace by bringing experts here in the Bay Area. And today is no exception. We have Tom Rydberg from DK Mortgage. He's our mortgage sage and guru. He's going to point us in the right direction of what to do when we're looking for magical ways and correct ways, lawful, legal ways to get financing for our home so you can make that dream come true, right? The American dream, have that picket fence, have that home, right? Or live on the beach somewhere. That's where I'd want to be. We also have Ray Hall coming up on the second half, and our man, the Tin Man himself, Fred Muth with Tampa Screens and Aluminum. But before we do that, we want to showcase some of our properties per the usual, how we do for the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams. Brandon and Lindsay own one of the best real estate teams here in Florida, also known as the Platinum Coastal Elite. And one of the properties we would like to showcase for you right now is 701 Sugar Palm Street in Largo, Florida. Beautiful home. It's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,000 square feet, resort-style living in a 55 and up community. So when you're ready to just kind of chill, you're in those years now where we don't want to deal with all the nonsense in the neighborhood. You go to that 55 and up community and live that more peaceful way. It's a 9-hole golf course, 3 tennis courts, 2 hot tubs, and 3 pools. So every day you can wake up, shoot some golf, and then go hang out in the pools and hot tubs. Sounds like a good life to me. You got built-in china cabinets that span the entire wall, which isn't often seen anymore. You got a recently remodeled kitchen, so that's all good to go. Water purifier beneath the sink. Everything is just beautiful on this home. It's ready to rock. The neighborhood is very nice. They're in Largo, Florida. 701 Sugar Palm Street, Largo, Florida. We also have 1050 Farmingdale Lane. This is a beautiful home in Newport Richey, Florida. It's a 4-bedroom, 3-bath. It's 2,217 square feet. It is a corner lot. This thing is gorgeous. Got nice brick on the exterior. Open split floor plan, high ceilings, lots of natural light coming in. Beautiful marble floors. Look at that kitchen. It's gorgeous. This is one of those places where I know I can walk in wearing a white glove and, man, I'm not going to find any dust. This place is just ready to just be feel like you're in your own personal private oasis. So that's 1050 Farmingdale Lane in Newport Richey, Florida. You can see all of our properties at platinumcoastalelite.com. You can also call our off-air number, 727-263-3707. All right, so we're going to bring it back here in studio, and we're going to talk to our man, Tom Rydberg of DK Mortgage. What's up, buddy? How you doing?
Good to see you. Nice surprise. I was expecting to see Brandon and get a chance to catch up with you. So
yeah, man, that's what ninjas do. We just kind of pop in and surprise you when you least expect it.
Yeah, no, it's good to see you. It's been a while.
It's good to see you, brother, man. I'm glad. I remember when you first came into the show to come and check it out and be a part of it. I saw him, and I was like, man, he'd be a good asset for the show. He's got good energy, good talker, and very knowledgeable in your industry. So
I love it. I love my job. I love talking with you guys, trying to keep everybody updated on a crazy, I say crazy market, crazy world, but it's always been like that. There's always something pulling at markets. I think that, we've talked in the past about, people trying to figure out, is this the right time to buy? Should I refinance? What type of loan should I get? No simple answers for anyone.
Sure.
And I think you just try to do what's best for you in your particular situation. So.
Yeah, it's so wild how, world and, national, current events and things that are going on, how it affects the housing market so much. Any craziness going on anywhere or any peacefulness as well, when things are nice, how much it has an effect on the housing market and your interest rates for banking and mortgage industries and stuff.
Yeah, it is interesting because when I got into the business 26 years ago, I had no idea that not only obviously the market affects my own personal income and how I go about my job, but my friends, my neighbors, family members, people do really come to you for advice, even if it's a little bit outside of directly mortgages, because we do have a good pulse on the overall economy and the market. We get bombarded with data all the time, GDP, consumer price index, forecasts on, second quarter, third quarter. So it's cool. And then the other part is we are such a big component of the overall health of the economy.
Yeah, for sure.
It puts a lot of pressure too. And now the frustrating thing about that is we do really well sometimes for no real, not because of anything we did, just a couple of years ago, rates were so low,
Yeah.
the phone never stopped ringing.
Yeah.
But then the flip side is sometimes you can do everything right. You can work as hard as you want, and you just wake up and you feel like you're getting punched in the head every day because rates are high, people are frustrated, and there's nothing you can do about it. You just try to, give people the best advice you can. And it seems like I'm doing a lot of that lately. Doesn't mean it's, turning into a mortgage for me, but I'm trying to give people the right advice, whether it's a second home, first-time home buyer. Should I move up? Should I move down? Should I get an investment property? So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and like you said, and everybody's situation is unique. So you said 26 years ago you got into the I don't we call it the game, but the industry.
Yeah.
You came in like when 26 years ago. You're off bat, like you got your mortgage broker's license, or you got your mortgage license, then you went right into mortgages, or did you just start off as just like an originator, or like how?
Well, so how it worked back then, and this part hasn't changed that much, is so I know 25 because my daughter's 25, my firstborn, and I had a good career starting in marketing before this, and I told my wife I'm going to get into the mortgage business when our first daughter was born.
Yeah.
And that was pretty stressful. So I can always keep track of how long I've been in the industry. But back then, you'd get a regular license, and you start off as a loan originator. And actually, back then, you didn't have originating license. You were just a loan officer.
Oh, okay.
You got trained, and the training was pretty minimal.
I'm sure.
So, they basically said, here's some phone numbers, call some people, see if they want to refinance.
Good luck. Here are the keys.
And really, you just kind of winged it. It was such a new industry. And that was kind of the norm, which really caused a lot of the confusion for consumers. Like, it was so unregulated that, you could, it was so bad. It's just crazy to think about. A consumer could be told, hey, I got your rate of 6%, and lead you to believe that was your loan the whole way. And then you could show up to closing, you might be at 8.5%.
Wow.
And
because of points added on the back end or whatever, or just
they
just
misquoted. Literally, not even a misquote.
Just lied,
there were
flat out lied.
Outright liars.
Yeah, that's
and
terrible.
Your truck is filled with all of your belongings, and your family's waiting to move into the new house.
Oh,
and
my
people
goodness.
would show up. Now that's an extreme case.
Sure, but it did happen.
Oh, it happened.
Yeah.
And then a lot of times, probably the more subtle was you ended up paying more closing costs than you thought you were going to. They didn't tell you about, hey, it's an adjustable rate or something.
Yeah.
So people like it will kind of banter back and forth about over-regulation, but I know my industry is one that really we needed it.
Yeah.
Now, the flip side of that is the less honest loan officers are always going to find a way to circumvent some of those guidelines, which is probably true to some extent, but I think it's a much better, more level playing field now than it was 25 years ago.
It's more difficult for them to find those
now
loopholes and try to
you have to
work
get
the system.
licensed. You have to renew your license. They do background checks.
Continuing education.
If, God forbid, you have a major event in your life, whether it's a felony or fraud or you lose your license in some other jurisdiction, that all gets reported to a national database that, I think does a good job of keeping people out that shouldn't be in. Now,
for sure, because criminals want the easy crime. They don't want, when you make them jump through too many hurdles and loopholes, they're like, there's got to be an easier hustle.
You'd be surprised that test itself kept a lot of people out. A lot of people just didn't have the financial wherewithal or just the logic or didn't study enough in order to pass that. So that was good. There's a financial commitment to renewing that. That's good. The one thing that's, I guess, always been frustrating for our industry is, so if you work for a national bank, if you work for a big bank, you don't necessarily have to get licensed. So a lot of people,
because they work under the banks, like
correct.
Is there one on staff and you're just kind of like a
no,
sub?
not like that.
Even?
It's
Wow.
more just if it's, and I don't want to misquote the guidelines, but just as a general statement, not all bank loan officers are licensed. They don't need to be licensed.
Wow.
So with that, I think can cause a big, I guess, variance in just knowledge. There have been plenty of times I'm part of some national associations with other colleagues, and they work at a big bank, and they'll say, hey, I can't get this deal done. Would you mind taking a look at it? And sometimes it's a pretty easy solution in order to get it done, which
but
doesn't
they
bother.
don't have the training
They
and
don't have the
knowledge-based
training
experience.
Exactly. Or they don't have the mentorship where they're at. That's one thing I like about Draper and Kramer is we have just a lot of great people behind us, from the underwriting, closing department, other loan originators. We're all there to kind of help each other.
Yeah.
We have we call it the sales sounding board. So if something comes through that I've never run into or I'm not sure about, I can send it out to all my colleagues and get great feedback on, hey, they had this experience with the lender, or they had a similar situation, and this is what they did to get around it or to work through that for the client. So that's super helpful as well.
Nice. So man, so you were seeing initially. So I'm trying to think of the evolution of the mortgage industry as you took on the journey. So there was like this wild west aspect. People were lying, kind of doing whatever just to try to close deals, make some money.
Yeah.
Regulations came in.
That was so 2008 was kind of identified as the big collapse period. 2000, it dragged out for obviously a number of years, but 2010, from memory, is when a lot of the new legislation came out about licensing, continuing ed, just regulations, and really they changed some of the disclosure requirements. So they used to have what's called a good faith estimate, which wasn't always such a good faith. People would they would say, well, there's no points, but they would charge like an obnoxious $3,000 processing fee, which was really just a junk fee, right? And they said, well, there were no points. It's just there's this obnoxious processing fee. Yeah. So it was really hard for the consumer to kind of get to the bottom line, like, hey, what is this going to cost me?
Yeah.
So now they go, the first disclosure a consumer gets is a loan estimate. And that is designed to give not only an exact estimate of what our lender fee is, because you may not know the title fees, some of the more obscure fees that we have zero control over, but we should know what all of our fees are.
Sure.
So when we disclose that, those can't change. Now they say, okay, but as a professional, you should have a database. You have your preferred title companies, or you should know what their fees are.
Definitely.
So there's certain sections of that loan estimate where there is zero tolerance, and then there's a 10% tolerance, and then there's some things that are just outside of your control. And if one of those events happens, they call it a change of circumstance. Maybe the loan program changes because of a credit score or a change of employment. Then we have to redisclose. So it really keeps a lot more transparency for the consumer. So that's really the biggest changes, I'd say, since the big collapse.
Yeah. Man, that's awesome. That actually, that sounds like a blessing, man, because I can imagine. I mean, I know not everybody, like there's good and bad and everything, but I'm sure a lot of people were unnecessarily getting ripped off and being hit with these fees. Like you said,
sure.
It's like the good faith fee. And that reminded me of the convenience fee when you go to the DMV for using my debit card. It's an inconvenience, man. I'm typing in the number and you're going to charge me for using my debit card.
Yeah, exactly.
Just these little ways that they find to tax you and get just I hate that about human beings as overall. There's some really great people, but it just seems like so many people and so many companies and industries are always just trying to squeeze that little bit. And I get it, man. We got to make money, we got to provide, and everybody wants to level up their overall wealth and for their family and to live better under better conditions. But I firmly believe there's an honest, better way to do it and still make money.
Yeah, it's funny as I'm talking through that evolution. I mean, it's been it's coming up on 15 years, and it's hard to believe how far we've come for the better in terms of that. Now, one thing I'm seeing a lot of is there's still a lot of confusion. I would say probably 25% of my clients are very comfortable with their finances. They understand the math behind it. You have another, 50% that have a pretty good understanding, but there's 25% that it really just, that's not their thing. They don't understand how interest works. They don't like numbers, and they are putting all their trust in you. And that's a big responsibility. What I'm seeing though with the evolution to electronic signatures is a lot of people. So if there's a 50 pages of disclosures.
You're saying just like sending DocuSigns and stuff back and forth?
Just DocuSign, I think, can be very dangerous because now people aren't really reading that paperwork.
No.
They might read the first page.
Or they don't understand it. They try to read it and they have
clue. They'll look at the first document from their phone.
Yeah.
And it might take them a minute to read that first page. And then there's a little box and they click and they check it. And then they look, it says 1 of 60. And okay, I don't have time for this.
Sure.
And bang, 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 bang. And then they go all the way through it. And, even I've had clients who we've disclosed everything. We've had conversations, but they had so many other things going on with home inspections, shopping for insurance, negotiating repairs, that they kind of understood the loan, but they didn't really look at the bottom line as far as, what their payment was going to be by the time we added in the taxes and the insurance, or how their homeowners association fee gets paid.
Yeah.
So we try to really encourage people that, yes, we have a lot of technology to make your closing and your process much smoother and quicker, but let's not get away from this, just a one-on-one conversation where we can do a quick review. In fact, with first-time home buyers, I almost insist on it, because I'll get a referral. I just had one last week from past clients, actually realtors' family, right? So first-time home buyers, and they trust me 100%. But I still need them to understand what they're signing and what the process is. So
Definitely,
that when a friend or
once you sign that, I mean, that's a contractual agreement. You're locking into what you're doing here. Whether you can't say, well, I didn't read it, I didn't see that part. Dude, you signed it. You signed that. You read it. It asks you, do you agree to the above terms? You're locked in, buddy, at that point. Yeah.
Well, I also think, though, there's so much with the mortgage process. Like, that client is really my best advocate. My business is built on referrals. And if I don't do an amazing job, people aren't going to pass on my name. So if I have a first-time home buyer, they can close, they're all happy in their new house, and then they have friends or family ask them questions about why they did this loan and not this loan. If they don't know what the answers are, that doesn't reflect good on me. So, I try to kind of educate people along the way, whether they want to or not. Like, hey, let's just do a quick review. You've e-signed everything, but let me give you the highlights so you understand if these questions come up.
Definitely give them the cliff notes. Nothing beats some review, some education time. Listen, old school stuff from the beginning, when you first start going into school, your VPK, your pre-K, all that stuff, starting to learn how to read and recognize, and then you need to do research. And the problem is, I believe a lot of it is, there's so many faux sources out there that you don't know who's a good source and wealth of information. That's why the Consumer Quarterback Show tries to point you in the right direction, because we've done our research. We've worked with Tom. We know, like, he wouldn't be sitting here on the show if he was, if we thought he was here ripping people off. He's here to educate you and take care of you along the way while he does business with you. So we're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to get more information and knowledge from our mortgage sage, Tom Rydberg with DK Mortgage. We'll catch you guys here soon. www.consumerqb.com.
Hey everybody, it's the Captain, Matt Bruce, and you're listening to my buddy Brandon Rhymes, a consumer quarterback. Sell, Brandon, sell.
And we're back here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. I'm your host for the day, Alex Lima, filling in for your consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Thank you for letting me borrow your ears for a little while so that we can, talk to you, educate you on how to win in the marketplace. So we were just talking to our friend here, Tom Rydberg of DK Mortgage. We're going to get back to getting some great knowledge and history from him, man. That's impressive. The amount of years he has in the industry and the evolution he's seen. Obviously, if he's here in Florida and he's set up shop over here, it's because Florida's the place to be. This is definitely where you want to be buying homes and prospering. But before we do that, we want to go ahead and highlight some of one of the properties from the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams, aka the Livian Coastal Elite, Platinum Coastal Elite. We want to show you 5470 Panama Avenue in beautiful Spring Hill, Florida in Hernando County. Got 4 bedrooms, 2 baths, 2,063 square feet. Beautiful pool in the backyard, nice little neighborhood, vaulted ceilings, spacious bedrooms, kitchen and island. You got an enclosed patio, spacious yard. There's no HOA, which that is awesome because you don't have to deal with people telling you that your bushes need to be trimmed or your trash cans are out on non-collection days. You're minutes away from elementary schools and the Veterans Expressway. It's really not that far of a drive if you hop on the Veterans from Spring Hill and then you need to head into Tampa or anywhere really, or you want to take a trip up to Orlando to take the family out for the weekend. So definitely check this property out, 5470 Panama Avenue in beautiful Spring Hill, Florida, Hernando County. You can see all our properties at platinumcoastalelite.com. You can also call our hotline, 727-263-3707, and we can talk to you about the properties or get you in touch with our experts like myself and Tom Rydberg. Tom, we're back, buddy.
Yeah, those are 3 great properties you guys showcased today.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're off the beaten path or they're land, but all 3 of those give you really good insight on just the real estate market here. I think sometimes people are convinced that, getting a property in Florida is unattainable. It's too expensive.
They're looking in the wrong places.
Correct. That's not necessarily the case.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, they're looking in the wrong places because like Hernando. I mean, I live in Hillsborough County, Pinellas County, and that I love it, and I love everything each county does. But like Hernando County, for example. You get a lot of bang for your buck right now.
Yeah.
People are like they're sleeping on it because that area is up and growing. I remember actually my mother-in-law lives in Spring Hill, so I spent a lot of time there. I lived there for a while, and I hear the stories all the time how it was just cows and pigs,
Right.
But now it's like it is booming, and that's the thing. That's with anything, you want to invest and get into something before it booms and takes off, because then that's where your value is going to increase and grow.
For sure.
So there's so we have the markets like Hernando County. Where else are you seeing where we can get some find. Surprisingly, you can find affordable housing. You can make your dreams come true.
Yeah. So, I mean, I love any of these little, like off 75 Parish is I think that's a hidden gem. That's between here and Sarasota Lakewood Ranch. I've had a lot of clients buy new construction out there. I think.
And your office is where?
Well, I work all over the country.
Okay, you're all over the country.
But my office is in Sarasota.
That's what I thought.
Wesley Chapel. Now, that is booming.
Yeah.
Booming. Like, I wish I had commercial contracting company that was working out there, because they have more cranes and more cinder blocks than any place I've seen.
And they're doing it right. They're doing it beautiful. Everything's really nice. Everything's they're doing it tasteful. It's not just let's crowd everything into this area.
Yeah. No, it's really cool. So if I had, and I'm not as educated as obviously Brandon on all these different areas, but the point is there's a spot for everyone depending on where you are in your life as far as family, careers, things like that. Because there are some places you want to be on the beach. If you're working, that's probably not necessarily the most convenient spot for you to be.
So once they find their spot, Tom, and they've made the decision that they want to live in the area, how do they get a hold of you to make it happen?
Best way, email closefaster@gmail.com, cell phone 630-550-2656.
Closefaster@gmail.com, and Tom Rydberg will help you live out your dreams. He can help you once you find that property. Talk to him. He can make it happen. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Coming up next, we're going to have Ray Hall of Ray Hall Appraisals. Stay tuned. www.consumerqb.com.
Thanks for listening to my daddy's show. Please make sure to send him all of your real estate deals and subscribe to the Consumer Quarterback Show podcast on iTunes and Spotify, or check out our YouTube channel. Have a blessed day.